PrisonPlanet.tv, now simulcasting for the final 2 hours of this 4-hour transmission. I am here Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 12 noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. And we appreciate everybody joining us. I'm finishing up with the editor and writer at Infowars.com, Kurt Nimmo, great political mind and researcher. Believe me, we've looked for folks that can work in our operation. They're few and far between. Kurt's one of them. Other folks seem to always have flaws or blind spots when it comes to researching the New World Order. I'm sad to say I wish our numbers were greater of those that have a really deep understanding. And, of course, another person I found out there who I for years watched and researched and decided could be a member of the team, and we're honored to have him, Paul Watson, now for 6 years. And he runs PrisonPlanet.com, PrisonPlanet.tv with his brother Steve Watson. That also does a fine job. Finishing up in this segment, the next, and I got another guest coming on, and I appreciate your time, gentlemen. Paul Watson, I want to shift gears now into, because if we just cover this by itself, it doesn't bring the full import of what we're facing. They are creating class warfare and envy. And in the U.S., in England, they have similar programs. They say, does your neighbor look like they have more money than they should? Find out what job they've got. Ask them what their salary is and call police. You'll get a percentage of anything seized from black market business, garage sale money, coin collections they've sold, drugs, and this is all under Homeland Security here and in England. They're taking the anti-terror system they've set up and the spy networks. They sell the public on, we're going to have spies, we need citizens tattling, we're listening to your phones without warrants. But it's to fight Al-Qaeda. You don't want Al-Qaeda to attack, do you? You saw 7/7, you saw 9/11. Now they just admit here in the U.S. and overseas, spy on your neighbors, spy on gun owners. If your neighbor has a gun, call the police on them, the billboards say, when the guns aren't illegal. I mean, it's getting bad. And guys, pull this up on screen for folks that are watching at PrisonPlanet.tv. It says, police encourage citizens to report people who drive nice cars. I want them to see the picture of the police chiefs and people smiling like criminals. And they know this is asinine. It's a big joke to them. If you criticize open borders, you'll be arrested. It shows on here a poster of a guy in a suit saying, too much bling, give us a ring. And it says, bling, call the police immediately if your neighbor has a boat or a nice car. It says, in this recession, you're not supposed to have money. Paul Watson, this is creating class warfare. This is communism. This is what the Reds did. They said, arrest your neighbor. He's rich. Get him. Paul, it's happening. I can't even believe this.
Well, top political scientists are now just saying that the UK is a totalitarian state. There's no doubt about it anymore. And this is a campaign by Gloucestershire Police Force, who incidentally were the same police force who arrested Robin Page for saying that farming groups should have the same rights as Muslims and homosexuals. They're also the same police force that set up Operation Napkin, which was where they sent out police officers to sit in curry houses and spy on people's conversations to check if they said any racial terms, and arrests were made.
Who is this demon in the middle? I mean, he looks like the epitome of a thug, of a jackboot. I mean, that guy would be, if I was a big filmmaker making a new 1984, he would be an inter-party official. I mean, I would come to him and say, we want to cast you as a piece of absolute degenerate, parasitical trash.
It looks like the chief constable to me, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a campaign put out by the police, which encourages people to report on other citizens who drive nice cars or buy expensive items.
This is just meant to get everybody tattling on everybody. Stay there, Paul. One more segment. I want to get Kurt Nimmo's take on this. And they're doing the same stuff here. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, they are moving on everybody full force. They're not just saying Michael Savage will be arrested if he comes to England. I mean, they're going after me. They're shutting me off everywhere. I mean, we're under attack because these people mean to make us their slaves, and they know that some of us aren't going along with it. Little punk. Viggo Mortensen and a lot of other folks are in the film. It is Reclaiming the Blade, and we are going to have Daniel McNicoll, the filmmaker, on to talk about it because it gets into how the general public was disarmed. It gets into how the right to keep and bear arms, very important, and how swordplay is coming back into the culture. And by the way, there's a joke. They could disarm us, but if we had knives, which everybody does, you could, get a weapon, get a firearm very, very quickly. So it is good to know how to use a knife or a sword. And it's a lot of fun. So I'm interested a little bit in it. And so we're going to be going over that. Can somebody email me and tell me how to get rid of fruit flies? There's no food, there's no water, there's nothing open around the office. And it just gets worse and worse. Earlier, I was ranting and raving in the first hour, and one flew in my mouth and into my, You ever been riding a bicycle and those little gnats go in your throat? You open the front door out there, and there's just millions of them. They're flying around in swarms. They got in the office, and I don't know if you can see them flying by. It's like, near. There went one. I mean, near. I can barely keep my focus. They're landing on my nose. The battle continues, though. We're in here defeating them, hopefully. All right, I'm going to shut up about that. Kurt Nimmo, you hear what Paul Watson's talking about. We're going to go back to him in a moment. But this is happening everywhere. This is to get everybody to tattle on everybody. You read all these federal reports here in the U.S., they're identical to the ones in England and Canada and Germany and Europe. It's, does your neighbor have a cell phone? Are they nice to police? Do they want to be involved in community stuff? They're probably a secret right-wing terrorist. And then now they're announcing restrictions on free speech, and anybody in the DHS reports listed as extremists won't be able to own guns. Exactly what White House Chief of Staff said in speeches. And still the public can't believe it. I can't believe it. I mean, we knew they were going to set this up, but to have them coming right out and going, yeah, we're going to take your free speech and take your guns. I mean, without a judge or jury. And then now in England, report your neighbor if they smoke cigars or wear a suit and tie. It says they shouldn't have that much money in this recession. Get money from the government to start spying on your neighbor. Ask your neighbors questions. We're going to go to Paul Watson in a moment, and at the 20 after, we've got our next guest coming up. But Kurt Nimmo, your take on this.
Well, this is kind of, it reminds me of Orwell's 1984, the junior spies who were spying on Winston Smith. It's the same thing. It's a classic attribute of totalitarianism. It happened in Red China. It happened with the Hitler Jugend in Germany. It's a standard procedure, and that's precisely what they're doing. Class warfare works wonderfully.
Well, they also, aren't even denying any of this anymore. I mean, we were brought up that China restricted free speech and it was a police state. We were brought up that Russia did that. We were brought up that all of this was going on and happening, and then Chinese-style net censorship, where they block things, block IPs, have firewalls, where they have government gatekeepers. The New York Times comes out and says we need a kinder, gentler internet that doesn't let the general public blog without licenses, and you'll get felony charges if you hurt someone's feelings, and you'll have to have a subdomain on a bigger domain so you have no rights. And they say we're going to gatekeep and take your free speech for your own interest, and they're openly phasing in Chinese net-style censorship where they're purging all the Alex Jones videos, and the media just goes, so what? Because the old media has to kill us. They can't put up with a level playing field because we're telling the truth and they're not.
Yeah, and as well, the corporate structure can't, cotton the fact that Alex Jones is on there talking the truth. I mean, take a look at what's happening to YouTube. It's being, it's turning into the next Hulu. It's turning into a corporate base for their commercials and their their cartoons and their TV shows. So
yeah, well, we told people that we've seen this with other web systems, and we know the globalist tactics of phasing things in. And I would go in and we'd write articles where Google 3 years ago put out corporate reports about the model they were going to phase in the next few years and how they were going to get rid of most of the user videos and only have selected people they choose. They're going to use a very high standard of micromanaging and the contracts you sign digitally to be on there where they can suspend you for no reason. And that's now happening. And we told people they were phasing out 2 years ago. We said they're starting to phase out Google video. Now they've completely phased it out. No more uploading to it. They're now doing the same phase out, the same way they did it, restricting views, knocking channels off, killing or locking down videos when they hit the top videos, and then turning them back on later when they're out of the top 100, getting rid of the top 100 or most viewed on the front page, making it popular, just what they want to push, relegating user videos to subpages.
The innocuous pablum stays on there, the volleyball girls and all that stuff remains.
Well, exactly. But, I mean, the issue is they really are killing YouTube right now. I mean, they really are shutting it down. They are phasing it out. But they know through domestication tactics of mind control, same way you domesticate a horse or a cow or a pig or a dog, they are easing us into this. And I tell people, look, you know, Google admittedly is run by NASA and the NSA. And here's the CIA agent and the founding documents, and they give all their money to eugenics, and you know, here's their own, you know, charitable giving, billions a year, and people just say, no, it's not happening, Alex, don't fearmonger. Paul Watson, I want to get back into this whole Stasi thing, but before we forget, get into this Google situation.
Well, that's right. The other day, Google officially suspended all video uploads. They said they were going to do that up to a year ago. I remember them saying that, and they went ahead and did it.